You are all so adorable.
Eat shit, Valentina.
The Red Guardian.
What?
The Thunderbolts have now officially been rebranded as the new Avengers. But what exactly does this mean for the future of the MCU? Welcome to Heroescope. So, as Avengers Doomsday approaches, the question that has been on everybody's mind is, where are the Avengers? No Hulk, no Thor, no Iron Man, and all of the other heroes are completely disjointed and have barely met each other. So who is the team that is going to be fighting against RDJ's Doctor Doom? Well, it turns out that the old Avengers are gone, and a team of literally new Avengers is coming in to replace them. First of all, let's go back a bit. Post-Endgame, the MCU was in a weird place. Projects were dropping left and right, timelines were crumbling, and fans were left pondering if Marvel had any idea where it was all going. So how do you rebuild the biggest superhero team of all time when you don't really have any heroes left? Marvel mostly focused on solo projects without actually giving much thought to the Avengers or how Sam as Captain America is going to manage to remake the famous superhero team. For years, fans were wondering, who's going to step up? The Fantastic Four were coming, the X-Men were on the horizon, and multiverse chaos was brewing, yet there was no real anchor, no team, no symbol. Enter the Thunderbolts. What at first seemed like a team full of what can only be described as B-tier characters who were never really meant to be leads turned out to be something else entirely. A world where morality isn't black and white anymore, and where trust in traditional heroes has crumbled. These anti-heroes are the only ones crazy enough to step up. They're not pretending to be noble. They're not trying to be role models. They're just trying to survive, to find purpose, and maybe, just maybe, do something good along the way. Not a lot of hype was being gathered for the Thunderbolts, but almost the entirety of the superhero fan world was wondering why exactly there was an asterisk in the name. Why was the movie name not simply The Thunderbolts? There were many theories. Some people thought it was because they weren't exactly traditional heroes per se, but more like anti-heroes or government tools. Others believe it had something to do with General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. But the real answer? It was all part of the plan. As it turns out, it is exactly this team of outcasts and anti-heroes, consisting of Yelena, Bucky, Red Guardian, John Walker, Ghost, and the new powerhouse on the block, Sentry, aka Bob Reynolds, that is going to be pushing the MCU forward. At the end of the movie, during a surprise press conference staged by Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, a last-ditch attempt to save herself from bad publicity, the Thunderbolts are successfully rebranded as the new Avengers. And just like that, history is rewritten. But what does this mean? Well, it's a genius move that works well on multiple fronts at once. It makes perfect sense for Valentina to do this, as she desperately tries to save her name. But it also makes perfect sense for the new Avengers to be formed precisely at this time, because they represent the world as it is, not as we wish it was. The original Avengers came together during a time of hope and idealism, when superheroes were just starting out in universe. But at the point when Thunderbolts takes place, the world is fractured. People don't trust easy smiles and capes anymore. They trust pain. They relate to brokenness. And the Thunderbolts, they're as broken as it gets. But it works on more levels than that. Rebranding the Thunderbolts as the new Avengers is a calculated move, and not just in the story, but for the franchise as a whole. After Endgame, the MCU truly needed a reset, but they couldn't just start over. They needed something familiar, but ever so slightly different. Something that echoes the past while pushing toward the future. And that's exactly what the Thunderbolts are. It's poetic in a way. The original Avengers were a symbol of what humanity could be at its best. The Thunderbolts are what humanity looks like when it's trying to crawl out of the dirt, much like the MCU itself is trying its hardest to reach the levels it was once on. This is about rebuilding, not from strength, but from weakness, from trauma, from mistakes. And here's the crazy part. They feel like a family, maybe even more than the original team, because they're exactly what a family is. A bunch of people thrown together, all with their flaws, but each of them trying their hardest to protect and keep each other safe. They bicker, they clash, they screw up, but in the end, they show up for each other. And that is exactly what the Avengers should stand for, and why it's important for the new Avengers to exist. The MCU has always thrived on evolution, and this team, this scrappy, unpolished, deeply human group of misfits, they aren't the heroes you dream about as a kid. These are the ones you start to understand when you grow up, when you realize life is unfair, when you understand that heroes don't always wear capes or have clean moral codes. Sometimes, they're just the people who choose to fight anyway. The Thunderbolts becoming the new Avengers isn't just a name change. It's a statement that sometimes the people who've done the worst things are the ones most desperate to do something good. That saving the world doesn't require perfection, just a willingness to try. But they aren't the only Avengers who are going to be going up against Doctor Doom. As the ending of Thunderbolts reveals, Sam Wilson is making his own Avengers team, and is even considering suing the team for the rights to the Avengers name. So, as it seems, the Thunderbolts are truly going to have to prove that they are worthy of keeping the new Avengers name. And let's not forget, Marvel is playing the long game. In fact, every one of these characters still has something to prove. Every one of them has skeletons. But that's exactly why they work. If history tells us anything, it's that audiences love a good redemption arc. Think of how Loki went from fan-favorite villain to the literal protector of the multiverse. Or how Nebula, of all people, became one of the most emotionally resonant characters in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Marvel knows exactly what they're doing. And with characters like Sentry, whose duality as both a godlike savior and a destructive entity known as the Void, the MCU isn't just exploring gray morality. It's diving into it. It's acknowledging that power doesn't come without cost. That mental health, control, identity, all of these things matter, and they affect how heroes rise or fall. So no, the Thunderbolts aren't the Avengers the fans remember. They're not standing in front of alien armies in slow motion, with triumphant music blaring. They're bleeding, arguing, stumbling through moral gray areas. They're trying, and often failing, but refusing to give up. And that's exactly why they matter. Because maybe, just maybe, all we now need are maybe. We just need people who won't stop fighting. People who are willing to carry the name, even when they don't feel like they deserve it. People who remind us that redemption isn't given, it's earned. These are the new Avengers, and they might just be exactly what the superhero world needs. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Heroescope, and let us know in the comments whether you think the Thunderbolts are going to be able to live up to the Avengers name. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.